Hey, what's up you guys? So this week we're going to be talking about the worst way to break up with somebody and my experience in the worst relationship I've ever had. So about this time last year, I started seeing this kid who, I'm not going to say his name, we're going to call him Josh. So Josh and I had started seeing each other, and my friend who I actually worked with at the time had told me about Josh and was like, oh my gosh, you and Josh would make such a good couple. So Josh and I started hitting each other up on Facebook, being like, hey, how are you? Because Josh added me on Facebook, so I was like, obviously this coworker of mine has talked to him about me. And he was a decent looking guy. I wouldn't say he was the cutest, but he was alright. I would say that in my town, it was such a small town that it was pretty much like there was such a limited option that I just kind of was like, I guess I'll give you a chance. Like, that was a mess, and I'm sure that I would have broke up with you eventually, because as soon as I left that town, I was like, oh wow, there are decent guys out there. Josh isn't the only thing. So Josh and I had started seeing each other when I lived with my friend Chantel. So I lived with her in this place in Price temporarily. So I started seeing this kid, and he was the first guy that I ever actually started seeing, like, you have your little things and stuff, but me and him actually were like talking, and then started going on a few dates and hanging out and stuff. And so it was all very new to me, and I was very inexperienced, and so I didn't really know how else to handle a situation besides what my interaction was with him. And we never even really actually even made it like Facebook official or anything. I did upload one picture of us to Instagram and stuff, and then shortly after that he broke up with me, I guess you can call it. I was buying him everything. I paid for everything that we did. If we ever went out to eat, I bought it. Or I can remember I worked at a gas station and he was in love with Red Bull. And so one day I had my manager order me a whole case of Red Bull, and I bought him a case of Red Bull and took it to him, and because he liked Red Bull. So I really had the feels for Josh. I even started showing him to my friends, like introducing him. We were together for like, we started seeing each other the end of February or something like that. Say things move very fast, and I learned from that too, like, don't move so fast, like, that's a mistake. I think you should get to know somebody first. From my personal experience, everyone's different. And then after maybe a week or two, I was like, hey, do you want to be my boyfriend? And he was like, sure, cool. And then I had introduced him to my best friends, the Julies. I even talked to my family and was like, I'm gonna bring him to graduation this year and everything, like, this is my boyfriend. They hadn't actually met him, but we even talked about getting an apartment together because he was about to move out of his place, and Josh always was telling me, he was like, you should maybe lose a few pounds, start running, eat a little healthier, all these things. It wasn't like let's, it was like like you're a little bit chubbier than I usually like in a guy. You aren't as tall actually as I usually go for. It was all these things about my physical image that weren't good enough for him. After a while, we kind of were like, I was kind of starting to get irritated with him. All he ever did is he made me feel bad about myself. He purposely went out of his way to do things that either scared me or irritated me. For example, I was in a car wreck the summer before me and him started seeing each other, so I was cautious, I would say, about driving situations now. More cautious than I used to be. But he would purposely like swerve or do something to kind of like get that scare factor out of me, and he knows it would upset me because of that, because in my car wreck I went off the side of the road at, I think it was 80, 90 miles an hour. Like, it was scary. Speeding, also wrong. So towards the end of the relationship, things didn't go bad, but this is how Josh decided to break up with me. One day I went and saw him at work, and everything was great, everything was going fine. I left to go to my job, and all of a sudden it was like silent treatment. And I didn't hear from him, I didn't get to speak to him. That night that I saw him, we spoke a tiny bit. The next day, nothing. Nighttime comes around, I go to work, and my friend Julie and him had texted. So Julie texted him and was like, hey, what's up? And he was like, oh, you know, not much work. And I was like, and Julie was like, hey, Brad's concerned about you, how come you're not texting him back? And I think he was like, oh, I'm just busy. Like, after she mentioned me, he was like, oh, I'm just busy, and then like never replied to her anymore. So I sent him a text and was like, hey, I'm sorry if something happened, like, I'm gonna give you your space, but I'm here for you when you're ready to talk about whatever's going on. Like, literally, like another day and a half or two went by, and I heard nothing from him. So I finally sent him a text, and I was like, you know what? This is bull. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I haven't done anything. You need to get a hold of me. Like, are we still together? Are you breaking up with me? And then like, the next day, he finally got a hold of me and was like, hey, I'm sorry, things aren't working out, blah, 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 blah. And I was just kind of like, fine, whatever, you know, it's cool, but you shouldn't ever leave anybody in the dark like that. Like, I went off on him. I was like, you know how messed up it is to leave somebody in the dark like that, wondering what's going on, what they did wrong, like, that's so wrong of you. I was like, I don't mind that you're breaking up with me, like, of course I'm sad, but you should never do it to like, you should never do it to someone like this, and I hope you never do it to someone like this again. You're a horrible person. And he was like, I know, I'm sorry. And then one night, so Josh had a Chevy SUV, I can't remember what it was technically, and he had police lights illegally on the top of it, and it was blue. And one night on the 4th of July, I'm going to my friend Julie's house to celebrate the 4th of July, and all of a sudden, a blue SUV Chevy with police lights is behind me, and they turn them on, and I pull over, and all they do, they drive by me. They were just messing with me. So I get angry, and I'm like, oh, Josh wants to play these games. So I text Josh and I was like, if that was you, like, I don't know what your problem is with me, but haven't you done enough to me? Like, can't you get out of my life already? Just leave me alone. And he was like, that's not me, I swear it's not me, blah blah blah. And then I was like, bro, I know it was you, like, quit messing with me, like, you're a horrible person. And he's like, no, really, I'm with my friends at my place. He's like, come by if you want, just, it wasn't me, I swear. And I was like, I'm not gonna come by, just leave me alone, pretend I never texted you, and I'll just move on with my life. So Josh is then texting me like, you know, I'm really sorry things ended the way that they did. We should hang out sometime. Like, I want to talk to you. Let's maybe try and work things out. And I was like, boy, bye. Like, get out of my life. Bye, Felicia. You had your chance. And then he had finally, we actually talked a little bit over text, and I was like, you know what, I don't have the best feels for you. Like, we can maybe try and hang out and be friends, but I doubt we're gonna be anything anymore. And he was like, that's cool, I just want to make amends of the situation. So we actually agreed to hang out, and I don't know why I made the mistake of agreeing to hang out with him, because things just went downhill, even more so from there. So Josh and I actually made arrangements. He blew me off the first time, which I wasn't too upset by because I half expected it, and then we made secondary arrangements to hang out again on National Kissing Day, and I didn't mean for that to happen. I lived in Emery County, Utah at the time, and he lived in Price, and they're like a good hour or so apart. So I got off work, I went home, got ready, and then started driving to Price to pick him up, and I was running maybe like 5 minutes late, and that's it. So I text Josh and I'm like, hey, I'm running just a few minutes late, I'll be there as soon as I can. And he's like, actually, there's a bit of a problem. And I was like, what's up? He's like, I've had a family emergency. My mom just called me, I've gotta go. And I was like, okay, do you want me to pick you up and we can head there? And he was like, no, I'm actually on my way there now. And by this time, I was like entering Price. Like, oh, he knew that there was a family emergency a while ago when I was telling him, hey, I'm getting ready, I'm almost on my way, I'm on my way, I'm running late, just a tiny bit. And then all that time, he knew something was up and that he needed to go home. So I was like, okay, I'll wait in Price for you. I'll just go to my work and hang out for a little bit, I guess. And I was like, how long do you think you're gonna be? He's like, I think I'll be like an hour or two at the tops. I'll try to get there, get as much done as possible, and come back. And I was like, it's cool, whatever, I understand family emergencies. So then, I'm not kidding you, Like 4 hours go by. And I'm finally like, I was like, hey, how things going? Like, trying to keep updated. He wasn't texting me back or anything. And so I finally get irritated. I'm like, I'm going home. I'm sick of waiting on you. This is a waste of my time. I should have known better. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'll come swing by your house. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, be on my doorstep at 9 o'clock or delete my number and pretend I don't exist because I don't have time for you. And he was like, I promise I'll be there. And you know what I did? I went home, stripped down to my clothes and my PJs and went to bed. Guess who never showed up at my place? Josh. But wait, there's more. So, despite Josh breaking up with me like that, leading me on 2 times, and I expected one of them, but the second one, no. And then never showing up at my place, guess where he was on that day, National Kissing Day? He decided to go a couple hours up north, and he was kissing someone else, and it was on his Snapchat story. And so my coworker was friends with him on Snapchat at the time, and she was like, she knew all about this situation, and she was like, oh my goodness, you'll never guess where Josh is. Sent me the photo and was like, he's with someone up north. So he breaks up with me horribly, leads me on twice, pulls me over using his SUV, because who else could that have been? 2 identical. There's no way. It's not a coincidence. I'm from a small town. And then kisses someone on National Kissing Day when we had plans to hang out. I'm not even mad that he was kissing them. I'm mad that he led me on like that. Your name's not Josh, but you know who you are. I hope that you also see this post on Instagram since you be all up in my newsfeed lately, liking all my pictures. And anyways, you guys, sorry if this week's video is kind of long, but that's my worst relationship ever / breakup / I don't really know. But let me know in the comments below if anything like this has ever happened to you. And I hope you guys have a great day. Remember, 3 smiles a day. You're beautiful, life's amazing and wonderful, and I hope to see you guys next Friday. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Bye!